Hello and welcome. This is Ultimate Virtual. We're here for Season 6, Round 6, for the Italian Grand Prix. We've had quite a few Italian Grand Prix in Ultimate Virtual ever since Season 2. We've had it at various configurations of the Mugello circuit. No more. It has been moved this season after a vote by team owners and principals to do so to the Vallelunga circuit here in a beautiful part of Italy. So this should be a really interesting qualifying session. Totally new track, which does play a big part in UV, having a track that the teams don't know, the drivers don't know, you don't know what the token spend is going to be like here, and you don't know what car properties are going to be best here. We've seen acceleration so far this season pretty much tossed away as a, in effect, useless stat. That may change here today. There's no guarantee it will, but the very tight and twisty corners through a lot of this circuit leading onto some longer straights. You never really know. Parts like here, you need to get that power down, get yourself moving to the next apex, as well as the section just after this one. We have Bluebell on provisional pole. It was double points for BFX last race. They managed a 9-10, which they're quite pleased with, albeit 3 tokens for Andres, only 2 points for him, even though they did have the tokenless Bluebell scoring points. We'll have a look at the upgrades and other jazzy stuff here. If you can see it there, great. So, this is sorted by car index this week, so I might as well do that. ThunderX have the fastest car, consequently are the championship leaders. However, not the championship leaders are BFX, 19th only for them. They are in plumb last, but they do have the second fastest car. However, Andres wasn't able to use it to good effect last time out in Valencia. We'll see if he can use it better here today, or indeed if Bluebell will be the one doing it. He's dropped to 4th now. It's Goose on provisional pole in the FVR, a car that has been quite good in qualifying throughout the seasons, but hasn't quite ruffled any feathers, as it were, in the races. In terms of upgrades for this week, it was Fox getting acceleration and triple turbo upgrade, as well as ThunderX getting a speed upgrade. FVR getting a speed upgrade, Velocity getting both of their upgrades, grip and acceleration, and then also an upgrade in grip for Furia Roja, which is good to see. BFX additionally with that grip upgrade, and it was a double for Furia Roja indeed. This is the final lap as the cars come across the line. It looks to be Kubo on pole position. Unless those behind can improve, which they may just be able to do, it's a great lap from the pole. Might just put him on pole. And indeed it is. Kubo on pole position, just above the half-minute mark with a 30.02. That's pulled by nearly 3/10 from Goose. He'll start alongside him on the front row. Pit Crew starts 3rd for ThunderX. Corvid starts 4th. Pit Crew hoping to get his season going. Corvid with a great 19 points last time at Valencia. It was P2 and the fastest lap. Bluebell will start 5th, shares the 3rd row with Somehow I Made It, 2 Season 1 originals of the division. They're ahead of Abva and Rito, sharing row 4, ahead of Andres and Suicide in 10th. Todsod starts 11th, ahead of Hetmenica, then it's Grandy, then Anti, Fox, then Shiloh, our race winner last time out, starts 16th today. Pappy, ahead of the velocities of Urist and Cado. Vaporeon in last place on the grid. But with a really slow lap, actually, that's 8/10 off Cado and over 3 seconds off pole position. The British driver really struggling in their debut season in Ultimate Virtual. We'll take a look now at the token spends and pull them up. It is 3 tokens for Abva, who starts from 7th position, Kubo, who starts from pole position, Vlad, who starts from 6th position, as well as Bluebell starting from 5th, Corvid starting from 4th, and Suicide starting from 10th. It is then 2 tokens. There were 6 3-token spenders, and there are 5 2-token spenders. 2 tokens are spent by Bottas Pit Crew, starting from 3rd position. Goose, who starts from 2nd. Hetmenica, starting all the way down in 12th, as well as Jurist, spending 2, starts well down the order in 18th position. And Pappy, spending 2, will start a more respectable 17th. So actually the 2 cars on the 9th row of the grid are both spending 2 tokens. That is fascinating. They just haven't been able to make that work for them. So that we're looking at a huge charge through the field from P17 Pappy and P18 Jurist. How they can manage that, if they can manage that. But to do you a rundown as it is from the grid order, it's Kubo spending 3, Goose spending 2, Pit Crew spending 2, Corvid spending 3, Bluebell spending 3, Somehow I Made It spending 3, Abva spending 3, Rito spending nothing, starts from 8th position, our highest tokenless driver. Andres spending nothing, starts from 9th. Suicide spending nothing. Oh, sorry, Suicide also spending 3, starts from 10th position. Todsod spends nothing, starts 11th. Hetmenica spends 2, starts 12th. And we have a whole group of non-token spenders before Pappy and Jurist. Finally, we will take a little look, because that is a lot of token spenders to remember, so I apologise if we spend slightly longer on that than normal. Finally, we will take a look at the drivers' standings up to this point in the season, as well as the Constructors' Championship. Indeed, it is Grandy, our championship leader, 72 points for him. He's had a great first half of the season and has finished in the points every single race, which is something only him and Corvid have done this season. Shiloh closes in. Her race win last time out puts her up only 4 positions in the championship. She was quite high already after that 2nd place in Saudi Arabia, but it is P2 in the standings at the moment for the American driver, the first American race winner in Ultimate Virtual. Anti, 4 points off in 3rd place. He got 3rd place last race after taking pole position. Callow drops down with no points last race, one of only 2 races where he hasn't scored points so far this season. Fox solid there in 5th. Todsod moved down to 6th position after not scoring points last time out. Corvid up in 7th. Abva, Suicide and Pit Crew, the rest of your top 10. Pit Crew achieved all of their results, 24 points for him with 0 tokens spent so far, compared to the likes of Vaporeon, who spent 5 tokens for only half the number of points. Fascinating to see. In terms of the Constructors, it's Thunder X who lead by 15 points over Furia Roja. That gap has closed previously from what it was, about 30 odd, with a great 1-2 maximum points for them last race, 44, more than half of their points so far this season scored in Valencia. A big gap back to Fox on 61, 10 back to Velocity on 51, then a really tight-knit midfield pack. Velocity in 4th on 51, Maserati 49, Flyview Racing 48 and Neon Sunset Virtual 46. Nothing really to separate those teams, just 5 points. Then Pappy Pop's a little bit adrift. They've got their race wins so far this season, but have been fairly lackluster. Other than that, Pappy's P4 last time out, their only other points. And then Porsche 22 and BFX 19. That is the relegation scrap. BFX have 4 more tokens left to spend before this race. That is all the pre-race build-up. We will go straight in to the racing action. Here we go then. Ultimate Virtual's first ever race in Vallelunga. We're underway here. Goose gets immediately a better start off pole position and takes the lead. Kinkubo fighting, going down to someone. He uses a bit of boost and does take that lead back. Going into the second corner, the 2 right-handers. Bluebell immediately puts the pressure on. He's looking at the inside of Goose here into the right-hander. Pit Crew in there as well. Somehow made it to the outside, but gets a bit of contact and loses his way through the corner. Abba and Rito going side by side. Menica in the background there as well. Made up a couple spots. We'll look meanwhile at Jurist and Pappy. Jurist gets through on Andres. He's made up 6 positions already from his starting grid spot. We're going to have rain on its way. Rito gets a nice little move down the straight. Pit crew is going backwards on that hard compound tower. Not a good tire to start on, particularly due to the fact that rain is already on its way and all our drivers will be in to the pit lane. Grandy downwards have already pitted indeed. These drivers have gone in for their tyres, but we're still not expecting the rain for a little bit longer. In fact, our front runners will pretty much be at pit entry by the time it starts sprinkling, and it couldn't have been more perfectly timed for them. Clouds are coming back though, and Abva stays out. So that hard did seem to work for him. Unfortunately not for Pit Crew, who was already into the lane. The Pappy Pops cars both out here. Look at them. Second and third for Pappy Pops at the moment. What a result this would be. But Suicide forces his teammate, who is spending 2 tokens, off the track. Rito sliding around here. Look at Corvid scything his way through on that intermediate tyre. They came in at the perfect time. We've got 3 groups of drivers. We've got the 6 drivers who came in at the end of lap 2. Or at the end of lap 1, rather. A lot of drivers who came in at the end of lap 2. A lot of drivers who've stayed out. Corvid is one of those who pitted at the end of lap 2. He's going right through here. It's a Neon Sunset Virtual 1-2 very briefly there. But Corvid goes through and makes it his own. The track now is dry. We'll look at our complexion of runners. It's totally mixed strategy here, and this is a crazy start to the race. Somehow made it is up to 5th position. Suicide, then Goose, then Eurus, then Pit Crew, then Pappy, then Andrews, Todsod. Looks like all of our wet runners have done pretty well for themselves, but a lot of them have been back into the pit lane already. Corvid, no doubt, will be, as is Kubo, as is Somehow I Made It, meaning Abva leads from Rito. Phenomenal for these drivers. If I've got that correct, Abva is spending 3 tokens, so Rito not spending any. Fascinating. We've got a tokenless race leader, as Rito was once upon a time when he took all those poles for BFX, while not actually spending any tokens due to the raw speed of that car. Gone are the days of that, but he is bringing back the memories of that with his race lead here. Somehow made it to round the outside of Todsod. He does have better grip here on that soft compound tyre that he's just slapped on. Todd's medium's a little more worn. Somehow made it with a lovely little move through that tight middle sector of the circuit. Corvid through on Kubo. Hard versus soft. They've both recently put it on. Spare a thought for our last runners. It's Grandy, Fox, Anti, Vaporeon, and Shiloh. None of these drivers spending any tokens, but all of them have been into the pit lane twice, and right down the back of the order, also in twice, has been the likes of Corvid and Kubo. But really, it's that bottom pack who pitted a little too early and pitted onto the wet tyre that lost out the most. Suicide is your race leader. Pappy is into the pit lane now. He's off his old soft and he's going to lose quite a few positions, come out outside the points in 13th place, just behind Hetmenica, as he's out on those hard compound tyres. What a race start it has been. We'll continue going as his teammate, Suicide, P1 for him. Suicide spending those 3 tokens today. Abva also spending 3. Rito spending absolutely nothing. Goose spending 2. Eurist spending 2 as well. Has made up now 14 positions from his grid slot. That is phenomenal form from him. Pappy, before his pit stop, had also made up about 11. He has sunk back down to 13th, so just a few spots for him now, but a lot of drivers who haven't been into the pit lane running in the top 6 or top 5 at the moment. Somehow I Made It is our top stopped driver. P6 for him at the moment. All the drivers ahead with 2 stops fewer, but he seems to be right in the ballpark with them. Rito, our once race leader, is in. Now Suicide as well. He's going to come out right in a BFX sandwich and doesn't let Andrews through, so he is stuck within that sandwich, at least for now. Bluebell going through. Andrews not spending tokens, Bluebell spending 3, but you can't really tell. It's such a shake-up this race start has been. I'll leave the tokens up there for a little bit for your frame of reference, just to keep your eye out. But still, incredible scenes early on in this race. We've got rain coming back again. So all those who've just come into the pit lane will be saddened by that news, no doubt. Got some going for the wets, that's Corvid and Kubo. Goose going for the intermediates. It's Suicide and Bluebell splitting strategy. Inters for the Frenchman, wets for the Fijian. Inters as the BFXs, voice crack, split their strategy. Rita going on the wet. Todsod going on the wet. We've got Meneka, then Pappy, then Pit Crew all on the Inter. The drivers do not know what the tyre is to be on. We've got our front three finally about to come into the pit lane. Abva off the hard, somehow made it off the softs. Eurus off the mediums, up into third he went. But Goose, like a duck to water, or more amply like a goose to water, is now our race leader. He is probably our 5th or 6th race leader in these opening 11 laps. Corvid is now in 2nd place. He's stopped 3 times already. Abva in 3rd now. Kubo in 4th. All drivers have been in to put on the, or at least a, wet weather compound. We have, it looks like, 9 on the Inter and 11 on the wet. Kubo very wide at that final corner. These drivers are going to have to do a bit more wet running, but it will play into the hands of the intermediate runners. The drivers who you really have to sympathise with are not those who have done 1 or 3 stops, actually those who have done 2, and that is both of the Pappy Pops cars, both of whom are spending today, Pappy with 2, Suicide with 3, as you can see on the right-hand side of your screen. Both of them have been pretty badly hit by coming into the pit lane not long before new rain was announced, and that has caused them some considerable issues. Suicide looking for a move on Bluebell here. It's absolute rainy chaos in the opening laps here in Vallelunga, and what a tight and twisty circuit with gravel very, very close to the edges, looking to really punish drivers. It's a proper old school track, and well, I for one absolutely loving it so far. Goose, our race leader, from Corvid, who finished 2nd last time out, from Abva, yet to be on the podium so far this season, a best finish of 5th in Saudi Arabia. Corvid actually somewhat held up by his teammate, battling with Cado. Does skate around the outside. That's former Fuerza Roja, back when the team was called that. Driver Cado. Will anyone chance staying out? It looks like even the Inter and the wet runners all in to the pit lane, as have been some already. Rito, Anti-Grandi, Vaporeon, Cado and Shiloh all in from that lower order. Now we're starting to get the middle pack in as well. Look at all these cars coming out from the pit lane. Pappy will be really upset. The 2 token spend and the extra pit stop for another slick tar he took just before rain was announced. He's in 14th place now. Not a good position to be in if you are a Pappy Pops fan, of which there are many in Ultimate Virtual. Bluebell up the inside of Andrews. Look at that move on his teammate. He sends it up there. He deserves to send it up there because Andrews is not spending tokens and should realistically just be getting out of the way. Somehow I made it on the soft Suicide, and then Kubo ahead. This has been an incredibly mixed up and chaotic start to the race. So, great. We'll go a little further up the order here and take a look at the likes of Corvid, 2nd place, Goose still in the lead, Abva still in 3rd, nothing changes there. Abva around the outside at turn 1, takes a wider line but carries more speed, and on the hard compound tyre versus the identically aged hard compound tyre, takes that position. No longer Corvid with the speed of that Furia Roja, gets initially quite poor exit out of the corners with the poor acceleration of the car, but the grip and speed of that machine more than make up for it. He's done really well to absolutely grab the position off him. Kubo in 4th place for Neon Sunset. Suicide that somehow made it. Bluebell, Andres, Todsod, Pit Crew, Eurus, Pappy, Menica, Rito, Anti-Grandi, Fox, Vaporeon, Cado, and our race winner last time now running in the opposite position on the whole field. I'll take the tokens away for now. We'll return to them a little bit later, but here is your full panoramic view of the racing action here in Vallelunga. It's Goose versus, well, Goose lapping Vaporeon. We'll take a look at this fight over the podium positions. It's now Kubo who's gone past Abva. That does make sense. It's soft versus hard, the Neon Sunset Virtual driver. Because of the sort of rain wiping strategy clean, it only is these tyres that will give you the indication of how long it's been since their last stop. I guess that's what it normally does. Let me rephrase that. All of the drivers came into pit on the same lap, pretty much, aside from a few at the back. So, oh, Shiloh, I think, took off. Somehow I made it. That's poor form. That means that Andrew's got his way through, and Shiloh will not be making the Russian driver very pleased. That will not help tensions between the American and the Russian. Second place under threat from Corvid. Kubo is so quick at this circuit. He took pole position. He takes second place back now despite 2 stops extra over Goose. He is looking to really hunt down the aquatic bird just on the track ahead of him. Corvid will take a narrow line into that corner. It's really great seeing twisty parts of circuits back in Ultimate Virtual. There aren't quite enough of them, in all honesty, because you just get to see these amazing racing lines from these drivers. Ava around the outside at turn 1. Corvid is sinking like a stone. Rain is on its way back, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see how the drivers deal with this challenge. It has come just in time, so that I don't think we did have anyone pitting for a 5th time prior to this rain. The soft runners very much struggling on their older tyres. Kubo went as far as he could trying to catch up to Goose, but this soft has very much fallen off now. He gets a great entry into the pit lane as well. He has an early box. He should get a good exit. This might see him jump Goose. I believe it will. If he can get a good power down on the exit of the pit lane, which he does, Kubo through the pits on the entry and on the exit takes the lead of the Italian Grand Prix. Excellent, excellent racing and a great strategy call, timed perfectly with the rain coming in. Pappy, because he's a bit quirky, is on the intermediate tyre for his 4th stop of the race. Phenomenal to see that. Of course, Corvid running a 4th. We did have a Furia Roja, or Fuerza Roja as it was back then, on the podium in Kamikaze last season in the Italian Grand Prix. That was at Mugello. Jurist won that race. He's currently down in 9th place. Not great for a man spending 2 tokens. Yeah. That is pretty much it, as it were. Anti had a good race that time, because he finished P9 tokenless, which was the start of the SFR charge to the title. Nicely done by that. Pit crew, nicely done by him, getting past Pappy, who is sinking like a stone on this old intermediate. It is Goose who's gotten back through on Kubo. Sorry, it's just scheming of the days of old. Heavy rain on its way. That shouldn't trouble almost any of our drivers unless their name is Pappy. Kubo was in the race lead, and Goose returns to being so. But for how much longer? If we pull up the team overview, which we will do, but this may be a move coming up here. Kubo with a great exit, side by side. They go through turn 1, and Kubo edges just ahead as Goose tries to clip the curb. Turns in on the exit of turn 1, but Kubo has kept his foot flat to the floor and pushed his way through into the race lead. If we look at the overview here, indeed, the FVR car is pretty substantially quicker than the Neon Sunset Virtual. 4.1 for the NSV, 5.0 for the FVR. That's a speed level that they have over them, but the superior acceleration of the NSV might be helping them out here. It's better grip for FVR, and look at them, they were running 1-2 at some point. I believe that is now Rito being lapped, but still they'll have good memories early in the race of Rito leading. Both NSV drivers will have led this Italian Grand Prix. They'll have good memories of Italian Grand Prix as well, as back as the BAR and BAV team. I'm sure they got some decent results back then as well. Goose definitely has had some decent results. He has won the Italian Grand Prix previously at the Mugello International Autodrome, whatever. But he is currently not having a great time. He's under pressure from Abva, the man teammates of his best mate Fox, but these two not necessarily getting along too well out on the circuit. Abva quite rudely pushes his way through up into 2nd place. Very fair though, does get his way through there. It's all pretty spaced out in the rest of the top 8 drivers, 9. We've got pit crew closing in on Andres. That's over a couple points. Todsod a ways back. Menica chasing him down. It's Pappy and Rito. Ansi struggling a little bit out there. 6 stops for Grandi, our championship leader, having a torrid time out there, and you really can't see him taking tokenless points unless this race really turns around for him. Goose all the while looking to put pressure back on Abva. The Canadian driver held up a little bit by the gal from north of the border, Charlotte, I think, just getting a little bit in the way there. But Goose now back through, and we're just waiting basically for this track to dry up, see what strategies these drivers will run with for the final 18 laps or so. Probably a little bit shorter than that, which may allow just one more stop for a lot of these drivers. You'd be surprised if people took much more than that. It's now, though, Abba really closing up to Kubo. He's at great pace in this stint, out in the wet conditions. It's a fast car, that Fox car. Can he shape up a move? He goes very wide through the first of the two twisty corners, then gets a terrible entry to the next one, and Kubo is going to carry that advantage all the way up to the final corner. The rain is gonna stay around. Pappy might as well call it a day and slap on some extreme wet weather tyres, because he is having a rubbish time out there on the intermediate. There is a little respite for the poor Canadian, who has dropped down to 13th place and is nearly in the clutches of Rito. All the while, Kubo leading the Porsches, actually. Not fighting. I don't think Hatmaker is a lap ahead, Vaporeon. Behind him, Abba has been held up sufficiently, pardon me, for Goose to catch up, which may be interesting there. Corvid also still in that top four. Pack Andres chasing down Eurist, and we'll do a little reminder of the token spenders. We have 3 tokens for Abva. Abva is running in second position. Then we also have 3 tokens for Kubo, who is running in the race lead. We had quite a few 4 token spenders last time, none of those, but a lot of 3 and a lot of 2. So it is Abva, 3 tokens. Oh, hello, that was a big incident at that final corner. We just caught the end of it, and I think it might have been Grandy forcing Kubo wide. That allowed Abva to get into the race lead. Big move there. The 3 token spender in first, the 3 token spender in second. Kubo is not done with that, though. He has put on his big boy boots coming through that first sector. Caught right back up to the back of the Russian. It's a poor line through there, but Abba nicks the grass anyways. Kubo sends it down the inside. They slide slideways through the next couple corners. Abba just once again forces Kubo off. That invites Goose back into it. Goose battling with Abba earlier. He's not had a proper go at Kubo recently. Now he goes up the inside through turn 1, and he does take second. Kubo, in the blink of an eye, just over a lap, goes from first down to third. Corvid looking to put pressure on now, as if this section of the race couldn't get any worse for the Neon Sunset Virtual Driver. Corvid smells blood. He smells the weakness of this driver. His confidence knocked, sinking like a stone here at the moment, and Abva and Goose still very much engaged in battle. I think Abva might have forced Goose a little bit wide there. Corvid gets a terrible exit out through that corner. Fascinating stuff. They're all in to the pit lane. The track is drying, so they're putting on an Inter. Wow. That wet tyre has, as far as they're concerned, done all that was required of it, and they're very happy now just putting on an intermediate tyre. That is a slightly baffling strategy choice. Suicide extends a lap longer, so does Abva. Abva, I think, actually, he would be better off just taking it all the way back to slicks. There wouldn't be much point putting on an Inter now. Yes, and he does. And he's going to use this final period of track drying just to save a little bit of time. I think that's a fantastic call from the Russian. A really inspired strategy choice. These drivers, by coming in off that old wet, because they're losing so much time on a track that is no longer really necessitated for a wet weather tyre, they lose a lot of time by being out there on the old wet, on a drying surface. So why not just come in for an Inter? If Abva came in for the Inter the lap later, they'd be pulling a huge undercut on him. They did very well. But as the fact is, Abva came in for the medium. They're in just a lap later. And look at the gap that's produced. 5 seconds. They've really screwed up the strategy, and compared to the Russian driver, who may be staring down the barrel at his first race win this season, and really pushing Fox up into that fight for the Constructors' Championship from third in the standings at the moment. 4 seconds now between Abva and Goose, but Goose, well, 2 seconds. That's maybe a slightly tighter part of the track, not giving a fair representation. But still, really incredible that, actually. That is quite something. Goose in second. Kubo, then Corvid has dropped back that little bit. 7 pit stops for the drivers in third, fourth and fifth. Bluebell is now in the equation, possibly for a podium, if he can try and just close up to the back of these drivers. We have 13 laps left. It's only about 12 left for our race leaders. This should make strategy interesting to the end. Surely it's a medium soft for Abva. Goose, could he take the hard all the way to the end? You wouldn't put it past him now. Kubo soft now, he should be going for another medium. He puts in a very nice little lap there, just a couple tenths off the fastest lap, which is currently with the race leader. He goes nice wide line through the double right-hander. That looks to have come off as he just gets that straight line speed down into the right-hand hairpin. Goose way off the circuit there. In third place, that's Kubo up into second now. Corvid under pressure from Bluebell. Maybe no podium for these drivers, but definitely looking at a solid result in fourth and fifth. Suicide spending his token stage 3 tokens. He won't be overjoyed with P6 in the end, but his teammate, Pappy, with 2 tokens, looking at a 13th place finish here, would be even more upset. That is simply not good enough for a team looking to try and confirm their status as a UV team. They came up for Season 4 of Ultimate Virtual. They went back down. They came up once again. They surely cannot be going back down once more. They've got to stick around in this league. Kubo has gotten past Goose, as we saw. He's on that soft. He's chasing down Abva. It's a slightly fresher tyre, but it is definitely a faster tyre. You can see Abva just ahead there. Kubo is closing in the gap about 2 seconds now, as we'll look at Corvid and Bluebell side by side. They're going to the right-hander. Bluebell on the soft should have the superior grip at this point in time. Takes a nice wide line, but actually just loses that ground to the hard-running Fury Roja car. Now owned or co-owned by Corvid and Shiloh after previous owner Kamikaze has withdrawn all tyres from the team. The last race for them under his oversight was that 1-2 and perfect day in Valencia at the team's home race. Couldn't have been more of a fairy tale ending for them. Abva with Kubo just 1.6 behind, and look, he's starting to struggle a little bit through these corners. Kubo also struggling. This is now pretty much going to be the crossover point between that medium and the soft, especially with Abva's just being ever so slightly older. Kubo very much has the race leader in his sights. Bluebell very much has Corvid in his sights as well. The fight for fourth is going on here, and he will get a nice juicy undercut with that soft compound tyre. Pappy has been forced well wide into the gravel there, I think by Menica. Of all people. That is a fight over position. That's 12th and 13th as they see each other coming into the pit lane now. Abva in there. He's being held up by Rito, the lapped car teammate of Kubo, and Kubo, speak of the devil, is right in his wing mirrors. Will he come in this lap? No, he's going to extend a little bit further, but then he will probably get the undercut on Abva, assuming that he'll stop before the medium runner with that soft compound tyre. However, that's not a given. The medium doesn't have that many laps over the soft, and Kubo stopped that a little bit later as well. They may well be in on the very same lap and see a direct fight to the end between the 4.6 index Fox car and the 4.1 index Neon Sunset Virtual. The same speed stat for both. Slightly better acceleration, 1 level better for the Fox car, 1 level better grip for the Neon Sunset Virtual car. So it's really the turbo to look out for. 6 for Fox, 1 for NSV. Wow. This is going to be a grandstand finish here. Kubo pits, comes out behind Goose just ahead of Corvid. He won't get that bit of traffic from the Australian. That's always a good thing, but he does get a bit of traffic from Vaporeon. It doesn't make the lapping procedure too easy for him. Suicide all the while has been closing in on Bluebell. Well, Bluebell did come into the pit lane. That does explain it. Corvid through there on Vaporeon and his lapped teammate. Goose is now the car ahead of Kubo. Abva is into the pit lane. It's 1 lap longer for the driver who threw himself into the race lead with an inspired strategy call to go straight from the full wet weather tyre all the way to the slick. He needs to fend off Corvid here. Looks like he's doing that somewhat successfully. He doesn't have much boost to play with though, and Corvid does. Corvid will make that his position, and he's going to hold Abva up more. This might be really hurting Abva's chances of the race win here. Kubo is still not past Goose, who on lap 44 or 48 surely is either pitting this lap or taking those hards all the way to the checkered flag. It will be the latter for Goose. He enters lap 45 as our race leader. Kubo is looking at the strong favourite for victory here. Victory for him, victory for Neon Sunset Virtual, their first win of the season, and what a win that would be for them to take if Kubo can clutch a fantastic result here. Look at them, they're so close, and Abva's really closed up. He's now himself got that advantage of having the 1 lap fresher tyre, and that may just make all the difference. Look at our front three, they're so close. Kubo through on Goose into the race lead, but that may not just be the end of the tail, dear viewer. If Abva can clear Goose nice and quickly here, it looks like he will be able to. Abva up into second place, 1.08 seconds, the gap. He's really close now. Just a few tenths back, Goose is looking not to fall into the clutches of Corvid, who himself has done the same strategy. 2 laps to the checkered flag here in Vallelunga. What a great first race this has been for this circuit. So much rain, so much drama, and a fair share of crashes as well. Abva closed up so quickly to the Polish driver in the Neon Sunset Virtual Car previously. When he first put that tyre on, they won't be experiencing too many difficulties with the tyre life here, but look at that! It's a crash that's taken Pitcrew off the circuit, that's held Kubo up just a little bit, and he can see Abva in his wing mirrors once more. 1 lap left here. Can Abva do anything? Can Goose get back on the second step of the podium? Corvid surely isn't in any sort of fight here. Goose is going for it, and he's taken P2 back. Abva looked so good at contending for the race win here, but it doesn't look like he'll be able to pull that off, but they're so close. Kubo is held up in traffic. They're actually just a few car lengths ahead now, especially if Kubo gets somewhat held up through this section of the track. Abva sweeps off Goose. It's too late. Even with the traffic, Kubo's held on marvellously, and he wins the Italian Grand Prix. A great race for him and for Neon Sunset Virtual. Abva takes second place home. 8 tenths was the gap in the end. He got past Goose right at the very end on that last lap to claim that P2 for him, for the Fox team, and it's a double Canadian team podium. It's Goose in P3. Corvid will be very happy with a solid P4 for him, and Furiroja Bluebell takes home 5th. Very nice for him. Goose, by the way, with 2 tokens, got that result, which is incredible to see. Suicide P6, not the best result ever for Pappy Pop's Racer, but he'll be happy with that rather than sort of 7th or 8th. Pitcrew did take 7th in the end, 2 tokens for him. Somehow I made it, took 8th, and then Eurus comes across the line, takes P9, not great for a 2 token spend, and it'll be Andries, the final points playing position, no tokens spent by him. That's 2 tokenless points in a row for BFX. Todd Sod just about missed out on that. Kubo wins with the fastest lap. What a fantastic race from the Polish driver. Pole, race win, fastest lap. Didn't lead every lap by any means, but job done. That's in the history books, and that's great points on the board for him and the team. There's your top 10. The big losers probably somehow made it. 3 tokens for 4 points, not great. Eurus 2 tokens for 2 points as well. Not good enough there. Pitcrew would have hoped slightly higher. He's gotten P4s and P5s tokenless so far this season, but it was a very busy token spend race. Pappy, our big loser, 2 tokens spent, no points earned. P12 for him, and he wasn't even close to the points at the end because of that intermediate stint. He's had Menica behind, and Rito, once a race leader, down at 14th. Antti, who was part of that bottom pack, who pitted on lap 1, 15th place for him. Ahead of Fox, then Grandy, our championship leader, and our last race winner, 17th and 19th, Grandy and Shiloh. Vaporeon in 18th, and Caddo, dead last. What a thoroughly entertaining race it's been here in Vallelunga. Really enjoyed that. Next up will be the Lithuanian Grand Prix. We return for the second Ultimate Virtual World Championship Lithuanian Grand Prix at the Palanga circuit. Should be a great race there. Very speed dependent circuit, so that should be a very fun one. This has been crazy, but very entertaining. That is all though for now, for today. We'll see you next week, but until then, bye bye.